Welcome back to Soky Sunrise. This morning we are highlighting Dana-Beasley-Brown in our Decision 2020 series. Dana is finishing up her first term on the Bowling Green City Commission and is running again this November for a second term. Here's a look at our conversation from last week. Joining us via Zoom this morning is Dana-Beasley-Brown, an incumbent on the Bowling Green City Commission, who is running again. Dana, it is wonderful to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be able to meet your viewers this morning.
Let's dive right into some of your policy points. I saw, after you were elected the first time around a couple of years ago, one of the things that you made in a couple, statements to other members of the press and online statements, one that's really important to you is improving and growing the infrastructure in Bowling Green. So your 2 years on the City Commission, has the infrastructure gotten better? And tell me how so if it has.
Yes, that's one of the things I'm proud of. We in our last budget we just approved, we were able to secure for the very first time permanent funding to expand our greenways. So the hope is that we can have an entire loop that goes around the entire city that will have some parts that are in major thoroughfares, but other parts that would be also considered a blue way, so that it would be going in alongside of a river. And then that would then connect to spokes that would go into the city and connect to the current greenways trails and also hopefully develop some new ones. So I'm really excited, especially during this pandemic when, the normal ways that maybe some folks would have stayed active and healthy, that they have to find ways to do that outdoors. And so I think this pandemic has shown that this is so important to invest in as a city, as we want to make sure that we're increasing quality of life.
I do want to say, during this pandemic, I actually myself just bought a bicycle, and I've been using the greenways trails a little bit myself. I want to transition now to a little bit on what your tax policy is and would be, because when I hear growth in infrastructure, this may not necessarily be true in your case, but that often means spending more money or increasing taxes. Is that true in your case? Do we have to increase taxes in some way to build the infrastructure that you want? And if so, how and why would you do that?
No, we are so fortunate to have amazing staff in our finance department who have helped the city just make incredible financial decisions over the past decades. And so we are in a really great shape. And we are very careful about how we spend our taxpayer dollars and make sure that we are saving funds for projects as we move forward. So we're not going into debt to build the greenways. It's just part of what we set aside each year to do that. So no, I think it's really great that we've been able to live within our means as a city budget. And I can't imagine a scenario where we would need to increase that, because I think we are funded adequately for the services that our citizens are asking us for.
Let's talk a little bit about COVID policy and COVID response here in the city of Bowling Green. Put it in your own words. How has the city done?
Well, this problem is too big for one person or one entity to solve alone. And so I think it's just really important that we allow our public health professionals to lead while we coordinate with the frontline health workers, small businesses, nonprofits, and other government entities to make sure we're mobilizing a community-wide response. So I've been really grateful to the folks of the local COVID working group, how they've been working together, make sure they're communicating, and to make sure that they are really responding in the way that we need. But I think we've got to listen to our public health professionals and our frontline workers, and we really need to listen to their wisdom, even when we don't want to hear it, and respond quickly when they tell us to act. And I think moving forward, we've got to make sure we're bringing in the small businesses, the chamber, and nonprofits, and so that's what we I think need to transition to as we're kind of in this period of transition where we've also got to figure out how to address the needs of our citizens as we rebuild the economy.
Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we move forward to our fun and get to know you game this morning, the last, policy point I want to talk about is there are other city commissioners running in this race, or those running for the city commission race, who on Facebook and social media have called you a socialist, a far left socialist, and sometimes I know that's the dirty S word of politics. Would you classify yourself as a socialist, and if so, why? And if you don't, do you want to kind of clear the air here on how you classify yourself?
So I think there just must be some confusion. I work in social services. I'm a family resource coordinator at a local school. So I'm in social work. So I don't know if that's where the confusion is, but I'm a social worker.
Okay, perfect. So we cleared the air on that. Let's move forward to our fun get to know you game this morning. And we're going to start with a fun question, one that I wish I had a better answer to since I work on a morning show. Are you a morning person or a night person?
I'm definitely a morning person. Be working in a school. The junior high starts at 7:30, so I have to be there really early in the morning. So yes, I start my day early, and my family says I crash at night.
This might be a little bit of a tough one. If you were stuck on a deserted island, what 3 items would you want to take with you?
Oh man. I would definitely say my Bible. My faith is a huge part of who I am, and my family faced a lot of challenges growing up. We faced periods of homelessness. Sometimes we didn't have enough to eat. And my faith is what really was the bedrock of my family being able to get through that together. And so I know that would be an important part for me. Oh man, and then survival tools, of course, a fire starter and something to keep warm. So that would be my 3 things.
Okay, now your favorite restaurant in all of Bowling Green. You got to pick one. I know it's a tough one.
Oh, this is no question. Mex Out is my favorite restaurant in Bowling Green. It's a young entrepreneur who has started it, and his mom is doing the cooking, and it is so good. If you have not gone out to Mex Out, you need to go and try their food. It's amazing.
Now, what is your favorite movie or TV show? You just pick one from like all of that, I guess, visual mediums.
Oh, well, this is definitely a secret of mine that I'm a huge Colombian telenovela fan. So that is something that there's a ton on Netflix, and they are just the best in terms of escaping the stresses of life and just going full on into the drama. There's a lot of really good ones. So if you haven't tried one of the Colombian telenovelas, I encourage folks to try them out.
I do have to say that was not the answer I was expecting at all. That was a bit of a surprise. I've tried telenovelas myself before, but not a Colombian one, so I might have to give that a try. And our last get to know you question this morning is the one we ask everyone last on our morning show here when we play this rapid fire get to know you game. Do you prefer amusement parks or water parks?
Oh, that's a good question. I would have to say theme parks. I had lots of memories in my youth group at church growing up of amusement parks and having fun with my friends. So I have lots of good memories at theme parks.
Well, it was great to have you on the show this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.